Okay, hello everyone. I'm Marisa Torieri Bloom, also known as Marisa Bloom of the band Trashing Violet and Rock Mommy fame. Today we have my friend Gail Silverman here, aka G. How's it going, Gail?
It's going great. How's it going with you, Marisa?
Awesome, awesome. So I want to get right down to it. First, I'd love for you to tell me the kind of condensed short version of how and when you started and why you started GRGR.
So I started Girls Rock and Girls Rule basically back in 2001. I was in a rock band in New York City called G Spot. And there were some organizations out there for women, but they were more singers than a songwriter, like Indie Girl. And I was like, and I would go to be in some of those shows, and I would just feel like I didn't fit. And then I knew some other people, other bands, other women that were in the same business that were, doing more rock and punk and harder stuff. And I'm like, where's the organization? Where's the place where they get supported and where they get exposure? So from that, I started Girls Rock and Girls Rule initially just as one show a year. We'd give back to female related charities. And then it kind of grew over the years into this larger thing. And by 2006, 7, 8, we were doing tours and everything else and just trying to bring more exposure for women in hard rock and different kinds of rock and not just, even though now I'm more singer songwriter, but yeah.
No, that's funny. It's all good with music. So you touched on this a little bit. How has your career evolved with music over the years?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I had my rock band in New York for like 15 years, and then I relocated down to Florida. And so then I did some solo stuff and a few releases, and then I was in and out of music. I'm also a marketing consultant. I do other things, and during the pandemic, I didn't really have any work, so I took a deep dive back into songwriting. I became part of a community called Songtown, and I started collaborating and learning really about the craft. Because back in the day, I really just used to throw out my feelings, and that's how I wrote songs. And so I just really dove deep into songwriting, and then I started focusing on sync licensing, and I just started writing like 4 or 5 times a week during the pandemic, and that just became kind of more of my job, which I'm still doing both, but it was my passion, and I just love doing it. And I don't perform as much, but I songwrite all the time with people all over the world and all over the U.S. So it's been a really cool journey, and it's just my favorite thing to do is make songs and make music.
That's awesome. So do you think things have gotten easier or harder for women in music since you started GRGR?
I think in some ways, there's still obviously an imbalance between women in music and the way the industry operates. But I do think that things have gotten better. Even when we were doing Girls Rock and Girls Rule initially, it was a lot of the pop pretty girl, and you weren't hearing them on the radio, you weren't hearing them anywhere, unless you went to a show or you knew them. And now with Spotify, with all of these streaming services, everyone can make music. I also just think even mainstream, like there's been some more over the past few years with the younger generation, some more rock, some things that are a little edgier, which is really nice to see. And not everyone has like the perfect body or like the, most beautiful, gorgeous face. And so I think in that way, and I think there's more women on the business side of music as well. Like I know a lot of women like in the industry that are producers, that are sync agents, that are music supervisors. So I think there's still, like I said, an imbalance, but I do think there's more opportunities for women, and I do think in some ways there's more exposure and more avenues for women to be out there and to keep coming up in the music business. I was just at a conference in New York a month ago, and there were tons of women on the panels, and that was amazing to see. So
That's
I
awesome.
love that, and I think there's still a place to promote women in harder rock and in music overall, and so
Yeah, yeah, no, progress, two steps forward, one step back. I think you've touched on some of the important points. So why should people come to Otto's Shrunken Head, the GRGR reunion show? Besides the fact that we're there. Well, I
Right.
mean,
Well, because we're there, obviously. First of all, it's always a fun and great time when we get together. Most people may not know that Marisa is part of a group of women that I did the GRGR tours with, and Rue Star and Michelle from Loki the Grump. So we just love to get together and rock out and still have fun. And but I think it's important to come out and see live music, and I think it's important to come out and support women in live music. And we mainly do original music, and that's another thing. Like right now, I still live down in Florida, and it's just cover bands everywhere. and the live music industry took a hit during the pandemic, and a lot of venues closed. So come out and support us, and then we're just gonna have fun. So we're just gonna get up there and rock out and sing with each other and have fun, and it's gonna be great. So you should get your asses down to Autos.
And there's an awesome clothing swap that happened. So,
That is
Otter
true.
Sunken Head, where this event is happening on November 21st, 2025, 8 p.m. to midnight. Not only is it free, and it's in like the greatest, coolest tiki bar on 14th between Avenues B and C, but also there is this really cool free rock and roll clothing swap. I literally got the shirt I wore the last time I played Ottos at this clothing swap. I was hanging out with Patty Rothberg, and who is a amazing 90s musician who still lives in that area. So there's something in this for everyone.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes, Miss Frizzle Dazzle is joining us for that. So you can bring your gently used clothing, and maybe you'll find some really cool treasure. Yeah. And get
yeah,
rid of some things you don't need,
yeah,
because it's always nice to clean out our closets, right?
yeah, no, 100%. So I always want to love doing interviews, and I want to take away some useful business guidance for the next, woman in music, whether she's in part-time, full-time, aspirational, sync licensing, and so many of your songs have gotten like place since the
Phew.
pandemic, and you really dove into writing. What is your advice for getting into that industry for anyone who's like, you know what, it seems overwhelming. Like, is it for me? Maybe.
It is a lot, and it has become extremely competitive. I had placements way back in the day, like in 2005. I didn't even know how I got them, when my second album came out. But nowadays, it's become a big industry. It's very competitive. Obviously, there's a lot of shows that are streaming. There's a lot more content out there. There's video games. There's so many things, but there's also so much competition. And the quality in sync, the quality of music has to be there. It has to be really high quality music. The vocals, the track, everything has to be broadcast quality. I would say take the time to learn about the business. I'm in a lot of different groups. I spent the past few years really understanding and learning about the business, because it is, you want to stay authentic. You want to stay authentic as an artist, even as a songwriter. A lot of people will say now, don't write for sync, write with sync in mind. A lot of some music supervisors like to discover the next thing. Some don't care. But you should understand, because there's things like with metadata, there's a lot of just things about being in that industry that it's important for you to learn. And so I would say, educate yourself. There's tons of stuff online. There are groups available. I'm in some of them, where you can learn the ins and outs of the sync business. And I would do that. But the bottom line, really, at the end of the day, is write a great song. Write a great song, make sure it's really well produced, and then make sure you understand the requirements and of things that, when you're submitting, and build relationships. This business is all about
Oh yeah.
relationships.
You were the
It's
one who told me, like, not even like 15 years ago, you're like, Marisa, everything you do, literally everything is about who you know. And that is the best, I think, advice that I remember that's most salient to my life, because I've gotten to open for certain artists, or I've gotten a song in a movie, not because I'm necessarily the best, most prolific person, but because I'm nice. I really believe in serendipity, and I try to make those opportunities happen. So I think it's like, and connections you build are really going to serve you.
there.
So it's great.
And
It's great advice.
and I've
So I have
spoken to a lot of people
go ahead.
that advise me or advise people. It's like, at the end of the day, whether it's a music supervisor, a sync agent, a producer, whatever, people are people. They want to work with people that they like. And the industry, although there's a lot of people in it, it's pretty small. So, so definitely, like, the relationship thing is really important. And I've spent the past several years, just continuing to meet people, build people, get out there, get involved in things, go to a conference, just be like, don't be a pain in the ass. Just remember, just how would you want to be treated, right? Both professionally and personally. So,
Yeah, no, 100%. Okay, so we have a fun little game we're gonna play. It's this or that. It's not like I thought of it. And we have a few categories. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. This or that. Hot pink or cherry red?
Cherry red.
Okay. New York or Sarasota?
Ugh, gosh, New York. I mean, Sarasota can be lovely, especially at this time of year, but New
All
York
right.
is, that's New York.
Thanksgiving or Hanukkah?
Thanksgiving, I think.
Benatar or Patty Smith?
Hmm, good question. maybe Patti Smith.
Guitar boys or drummer dudes?
God, I'm done with all of those. I date a geologist now.
All right. And nightclub or coffee house?
Coffee house.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Gail. This has been super fun. You know, I love you, and
Thank you,
we're so
Marisa. Love you
excited to
back.
see you on November 21st.
Yeah, we'll see you. It's like a week and a half.
Yeah, we can have.
So come
Have a
on
good
down,
one.
everybody, November 21st.